is this coming to an end on your side? What are you doing to make sure that you achieve some of those plans that you laid at the beginning? And this is also where you must be assessing yourself now, that this is what I intended to do this year, and I've done this and that. I've achieved here and there. But the question is, if at all you are still missing out on some of those achievements that you partly could have not also achieved by now, we are still saying do not give up. Continue doing what you're doing to make sure that at least at the end of the day that you achieve partly and not necessarily missing out on everything. And this goes back to people whose ambitions were not too ambitious, but those whose ambitions were within their reach. That means you knew definitely that this is what you are going to be achieving, and you definitely make some of the strategies of making sure that you deal in terms of also really making sure that you achieve those plans. And that is where you must be assessing yourself this morning. But all in all, you're most welcome from wherever you are watching us from. In Arua City, we are witnessing rains, and now I should say they are in form of drizzles right from that is the wee hours of the morning up to now. We are still witnessing rains. I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, but I hope it is also really very, very good in there. Meanwhile, for those who are watching us overseas, whether good morning, whether good afternoon, whether what, whether night, still all in all, I want to welcome you on board in a special way to this Wednesday edition of the show with me, Farish Majid, where we are going to be discussing a lot of pertinent issues here and there up to 9 o'clock. And this is where I will be also checking through some of your comments to make sure that I also go through them to assess and to see what exactly you think that we should be talking about this morning. But really, yesterday we had what we call a council meeting that was jointly for the councillors of Greater Arua, where we did see councillors from Arua City joining colleagues of Arua District to mourn the demise, that is, of the former DHO who was murdered in cold blood by unknown persons. That was in Ajia sub-county, which is still within Arua District. That is over a piece of land which he had purchased. And rumor has it that land is actually about 80 hectares. And this is where he had gone to also really see this piece of land to survey it, together with this lawyer and surveyor who also really walked away with some small injuries. And that is exactly what we did see, but we condemn that in the strongest terms. And really what happened was really uncalled for. Even if we have issues, even if we have disagreements, it is really very much prudent that we sit down and negotiate and see ways of maybe dealing with these issues. And that is why we must also condemn issues of others coming to also really make sure they take advantage of such scenarios. And really this is where we did see the councillor also calling off for the land that caused the demise of the DHO to be taken and awarded to government. And others also asked government to also make sure that those who were arrested must face the law, and those who are still currently on the run must be identified and brought to book. But I can inform you that Ebly right now, police has arrested 2 people, most especially the woman who is said to have shouted that they are here, they have come with surveyors, they are going to take our land. That woman who caused the alarm. On a quite good note, information has it that she was picked from Rhino Camp and currently is detained at Arua Central Police Station, where she will be facing the law, and that is where she will be paraded before the courts of law, so to face the charges that also really she managed to cause in there. But really, if you look at the late, that is Dr. Paul Bishop, he died really in cold blood, and today he's survived by 3 children. Just recently, he also lost a child who finished senior 4, who also really just died at least really some few weeks ago. Very quite sad. I really don't know what kind of pain the family must be going through, because those who came to mourn the son are still at home with the family mourning, and another death has hit the family, another blow again on the family. Really, you wonder what kind of pain the family must be going through, because for a for a student who just finished senior 4 to just die like that, then it means really it is a painful scenario, and that is exactly what we are seeing happening. And yesterday we were in Rivo Village, that is in Kuliva Parish and Arua District, for the joint council meeting, where we did see a number of dignitaries coming together. I was able to see the area MP, that is Jovan Adrigo, also joining the team to also mourn, that is the demise of the fallen DHO for Arua District, that is on acting capacity in there, who lost his life in cold blood. And today the community members who actually murdered him over the land wrangle, others are still at large. But we expect justice, and we know they will be brought before book also at the right time in there. But really, information was that others are currently on the run, but so far two people have been arrested, and we shall be also seeing them also paraded before the courts of law in the due course of the day in there. And that is where we shall be seeing also that happening, and we hope at the right time that this also will be also very, very much good for them to be brought before book. And that is where we shall be seeing that happening, and at the right time also we shall be seeing justice prevailing. And the family members actually called for justice for their brother who was murdered also in cold blood in there. And I was able to see the young brother, the deceased, that is Reverend Canon Peter Achema, who was also able to also join the family and also give a biography of the late in there. Really, that is exactly what we really see, but we are mourning with them, and we hope justice, of course, will be prevailing for the deceased also DHO, who was murdered in cold blood. And this is where we are saying issues of land must always be given keen attention to the leaders. Let's always mind of what may be kind of transaction we're entering into, because some of these lands are already sold to two people, and you come and also enter in such a land deal, which also is said to be disputed. And this is where we are going to be seeing a lot of challenges. And really, the people of Ajia must have now painted the wrong image, first of all, of the area, because I don't think if there's any investor who would wish to come to such an area where people are being murdered. I really want to say this is definitely negative on their side, but at the right time, we hope they will be learning from their past experiences. And I was able to see the speaker. That is also really the speaker, also Lawino, who was also the speaker of Arua district. That was how Worship Lawino also really talking about this, and she was able to also really ask government to come on board to make sure that those who committed this crime are brought before book. Such a thing does not also happen in future, and so that the people of Ajia cannot be generalized. And the area cast of Ajia, that is Councillor Saikuwa, was also really able to apologize on behalf of the people he leads. Very quite sad, very painful scenario, and very regrettable indeed. And that means we must also really make sure that such things not occur in future, because when we talk about issues of land, today you know that most of the districts are actually having challenges of land-related conflicts. In Madiokolo district recently, I was able to move there, same scenario. That there was in Terego, same issues. Maracha, you hear issues of land being sold really at a giveaway prices, and that also in a way or the other is contributing to some of the issues that we are witnessing today. So I think it goes back to government to also review the land ownership policy. For instance, the laws in Uganda state that the land belongs to the citizens. That means if you're Ugandan, it is your land. You can do whatever you want to do with it. You can choose to sell it. And that is why today people are selling land without necessarily minding of some of those issues. And that is why one person can actually come out and claim, this is my land. And that is why the issues of surveying have always been pushed for. But if at all somebody purchases land from you and now wants to survey it, and the person's life is ended, that is why we feel very, very much bad, because this is a person who adhered to the call that is made by the government today, because the government today is asking people to have their land surveyed and to have the lands titled. And that is one thing which we are seeing happening today. But if that is the case, and if that is exactly what we are seeing now happening, it is really, really very, very much bad. And that shows how backward our communities are still are. And that is where we feel this shouldn't repeat itself again. That should be the last time. And that is where, even if you have issues, resolving them through amicable ways is always the way to go. And that is where, at the end of the day, we shall be seeing the development of our nation also going on. And that will also justify how developed we are. And that is how we shall be seeing our livelihood sense. That is where we feel people must therefore learn from the negatives. And if you look at the Jia area, this is actually one of those areas where many people are doing farming. It is an area which I should say is cosmopolitan area, nature. Many people bought land in there. We have Anyankoli who bought land there, the Lubaras are there, the Kakwas, the Langis, the Cholis have all bought land in these areas of Arua district, because Arua district has fertile land and is actually one of those areas with still vast land. But if at all this is how we start behaving, then I feel something is definitely wrong. And this is where we are going to be posing discussions for this morning, and leaving that discussion aside, because remember the battle will be today. That is in Ndrivo village, and he is actually said to have also come from Maracha, but the mother, both of them when they were still young, they grew up in a road district, and everything of theirs was actually from a road district. But that is where maybe I feel I need to give that small brief biography, before I move away from that discussion here. The Bible will be today, and we pray God to give strength to the family during this trial moment, and we also really pray that God brings those who committed this crime to book. Let them face their charges. Let them face also the bitterness of the crime they committed, and that is how we shall be seeing also really justice prevailing in there, and that will at the end of the day make us move very peacefully, because this issue is going to be causing a lot of issues, and people over here, I really don't know how they will be treated by others. That is where we shall be seeing that happening, but I really want to say forgiveness is also very key. Just that through bringing those, the real culprits, to book is really what I feel needs to be implemented, and that is how we shall be seeing this issue also really maybe moving away from the hearts of the people, and that is how we shall be seeing that happening. And at the right time, I will be letting you know what happens. Remember, we are into the 16 days of activism. Today is actually the second day. We are talking about the gender-based violence campaign, where we are seeing a lot of things for this year, but we are saying let's unite to end the vice of gender-based violence, because many of the families today are torn apart just because of issues of gender-based violence, which has they eaten our society. And remember, gender-based violence, once it's not also talked about, it is the children that suffer the most as a result of this vice which we are seeing happening in our society today. Several entities have come up in place, and to make sure that also really they talk about this negative aspect of the gender-based violence which is slowly eating up the society. But I feel at the right time we must unite to make sure that gender-based violence is kicked out, because if you not kick it out, then it is going to be remaining within our society, where the mothers are going moving away after fighting with the fathers. Really, the children will become vulnerable. I've seen a scenario where a child is suffering just simply because the mother fought with the father, and the mother intends also to move away, and once they move away, suffering is what the children are subjected to. So I feel we need to be there without also some of these vices, and we can still live without gender-based violence, and the only way to go is through resolving our issues amicably. If you don't resolve our issues amicably, then that is how we are going to be finding a lot of issues, and we are going to be definitely seeing our families being torn apart. And remember, the very family is where we are not going to be seeing unity happening, where we're not going to be seeing people developing together. It's really going to be very difficult for us to solely advocate certain issues, but really if you unite, we are going to be growing as a family, where the mother will be able to go to the market, sell the tomatoes, bring the money home, and buy with cooking oil, where the father will still move to the streets, ride border, maybe get some money, 5,000, 20,000, buy food. And that is how we are going to be living happily. And if we live happily, we are going to be having a healthier family. So I think it's possible. Let's understand each other. Let's learn ways of resolving our issues without necessarily touching or landing our hands on one or the other, because if at all we do that, then that is how it is going to be very, very much bad. Gender-based violence is true, it is a reality, and we can still be in position to live without it. And that is where we must join hands and kick this vice out of the society. And these 16 days of activism are actually in place to raise awareness about this day. They started on the 25th of this month, and they will be running, that is until that is the 11th. That is when the days will be coming to an end. In Arua City, there are a lot of activities that have already been aligned, and I've been able to see partners also coming up on board to make sure they undertake certain issues. But that also goes back to also the different entities, most especially the stakeholders, the leaders, the non-government organizations, government, society, really everybody. We have a role to play in terms of eradicating gender-based violence. If you look at the gender office that is of Western Nile region, already 500 plus cases have been reported this year, indicating a slight increase despite all these campaigns. That means gender-based violence is still with us. We can be able to eradicate it possibly through making some sure that we undertake certain issues, because if you not do that, then that also will be very, very much bad for us. But that wouldn't also be very good for you who is also going through gender-based violence. But we hope at the right time you will be in position to sort of learn from the mistakes of others. Look at a family recently where we did see the man was killed just because he was asking the woman, where did you get this 50,000 from? out of 50,000, life was lost. It means trust is still lacking. And this goes back to the families. Let's make sure that we have trust in our families. Let's make sure that our partners do not suspect us, do not also become suspicious of our dealings. And that is where we also want to see this. And this is quite many of them, many spouses do not trust their partners. Recently, it happened also in one of the areas. A woman, after working for 2 weeks, came back with a smartphone. So the husband was asking, where did you get the smartphone from? How did you even purchase it? And the woman was able to explain that I worked. But the husband was like, how much money do you earn? And who exactly bought for the smartphone? And that is where we did see a lot of issues also really arising. And that is where we feel sometimes it is also really very good for us to be talking about some of these issues. And that is where we are going to be leaving the discussion aside. And now looking at still what's happening elsewhere. Now in Nebi, Angal Secondary School is said to be grappling with challenges of inadequate, that is, beddings. And this is also making the children to share beds. And this is not only in Angal, we have had stories of students elsewhere sharing beds, which is really quite absurd, very quite embarrassing at the same time. And that means as parents, we need to support some of these schools by giving these beds to them. Imagine a scenario where children start sharing beds. What comes next? We do not know, because many of the times we have had stories, very bad stories of homosexuality emerging as a result of that. So I think it is high time as parents that we support these also the schools by giving them the beds. If we cannot give them the beds directly, let's give them money. Let's pay the school fees in time. And that is where these traditional schools, these big schools like Angal, shouldn't be suffering also the challenge of inadequate bed. And that is where we did see also the Centenary Bank coming to their rescue by donating over 30 plus beds. And that is really quite good for them to also start up with. And we hope also these beds will be bringing something very much good, because this is under part of their corporate social investment. I do understand for the business sector, they don't call it business, so corporate social responsibility, but rather they call it corporate social investment. And this is the word also really which I feel is very much good, because you give me, I give you back. This is the two-way thing, and that is where at the end of the day, this is also where the bank will be achieving. And that goes back to all the stakeholders. If you are out there, you can still reach out to certain of these activities, certain of these organizations, and also donate to them. And that is how we shall be seeing our society transforming. And I feel very much good to see that we see these activities happening. And that is really very much good. And leaving that aside, we did see the Forum for Democratic Change Party President, Engineer Patrick Amuri Atoboy, also really recently asking the government of Uganda to give interest in terms of also really eradicating poverty in West Nile sub-region, because the region today has been identified as one of these poorest. Second to Karamoja sub-region, we are there, and that is also where, if at all you want to know the poverty bar index for West Nile sub-region, we are actually within that line in there. We are not very high, we are not very low, but we're not last. We are just second last after Karamoja sub-region when it comes to the poverty levels also really for this country. It means we are, I should say, second last. But should we be happy about that? This is where we must ask ourselves, should we be happy that we are not the last but we're the second last? Still, I want to say no. We must be also thinking of competing with some of those regions like Kampala, like Ankole, like also Bunyoro, in terms of also maybe in terms of also earnings and also maybe poverty income levels in there, because if you look at our poverty levels, we are not where we must be happy of. But that is exactly what we did see, and we hope at the right time also really we shall be seeing also really that also happening. And we hope at the right time we shall be seeing also that happening, where we shall be also we shall be enjoying that. We hope this also really will be giving a negative image for us to be working hard. Must be giving us energy to work also really very much happy in there, and that is where we shall be seeing also our livelihoods improving. And that is how we want to see change in our society. And it is still quite possible, and we can still be able to do it by embracing some of these government programs like the Paris Development Model, which is in place. Let's utilize it for commercial agriculture. Commercial agriculture is actually what, as West Nile sub-region, we can undertake, because we have the pieces of land, we have the weather, we have the climate, we have the soils. What stops us? It is just mindset, and us also really embracing some of these government poverty eradication programs that will also, at the end of the day, enable us change our livelihoods. And that is where the party president for Forum for Democratic Change, that is Nazana Nkumbi, because I feel that is also where we did see also that also happening. But now today it is FDC. There's nothing like FDC Katonga. There's nothing like FDC Nazana Nkumbi, because now the Katonga faction is rebranding and forming up a new political party that is of the PFF. That is what we are seeing also happening in there. And I believe FDC will be remaining FDC under the current leaders, also really for them to also really make sure that they undertake also some of those activities. Yesterday also still we did receive good news for the poor of West Nile sub-region, where the Catholic Diocese also received a new bishop after pronouncement also really from Rome in there, and I will be breaking that discussion later on, but I want to skip it for now. I would also head into that, and I would also want to excite you about what we did receive yesterday in the next 5 minutes, where we did see teachers and police get pay rise. Very much good. And we did see science head teachers in secondary schools will start also really earning shillings 6.5 million from that is 350 million, an increment that is of about 4.1 million. That is also really a pronouncement the president made yesterday. Now the deputy teachers also science to earn 4.5 million. From that is shillings 1.7 in an increment that is by shillings 2.8 million Ugandan shillings. So what do you think about this? Where does this leave the Arts Teachers Act? Now the government has also announced a revised salary structure for financial year 2024. 2025 also effective from July 2024, which includes that also pay rise for key public service sectors, and the beneficiaries include that is secondary school head teachers, science deputy head teachers, and lower rank personnel in the Uganda Police Force and Uganda Prison Services. And the revised salary structure was communicated by the permanent secretary of the Ministry for Public Service, that is Ms. Catherine Bitarekwate, who highlighted adjustments for science head teachers at scale that is of U1E, and science deputy head teachers at scale U2, and similar we did see in the security sector personnel ranging from sergeants, that is a scale that is of U6 UP, to special police also really constables, that is U8, will also as well get a pay rise. And this is also really to enhance also really improvement in service delivery. And according to PS, that is secondary school teachers and deputy teachers will no longer receive that is the science allowance under the revised structure. And the Ministry of Public Service has confirmed that the new structure also adjustments will be automated on the integrated also and payroll systems and human capital management systems. And the Ministry of Education and Sports has submitted a list of eligible beneficiaries, ensuring changes are also implemented effectively in there. Now the pay rise also really comes after significant pressure from head teachers who slammed that the government also for previously raising salaries for science teachers while excluding them. Now in protest, some head teachers stepped down from their leadership roles to become teachers, and their roles also to become teachers, so that could also benefit also from the 4.5 million Ugandan allocated science teachers. A privilege also really denied to head teachers. Meanwhile, the salaries also of the head teachers, like also those of arts, remain unchanged, further highlighting the disparity in pay within the education sector. But this is where I feel very much bad. Where does this leave we, the humanities, those who are the arts sector? I feel very much bad, because a world, let's imagine a world without lawyers. Let's imagine a world without journalists. Let's imagine a world without accountants. Let's imagine a world without other professionals within the humanities. I really feel government is not treating the humanities very well. Why do you increase the salaries of the teachers of the sciences, most of those teachers who are under science, and you neglect those under health sector? I think this is going to be creating a lot of injustices. This is going to be creating a lot of enmities within the science and head teachers, who at the end of the day are going to be pulling off. And I really want to assure you that after this pronouncement, we are going to be seeing more art teachers pulling out. If I'm told I'm lying, you wait and also witness the bar. Most science teachers, arts teachers are going to be pulling off. And that is where we're going to be seeing the health sector, science sector really very empowered, neglecting the arts sector, which is going to be very, very much bad. And if at all we continue to see this, then I want to assure you that at the end of the day, we are going to be seeing a lot of injustice happening, and that will also be very, very much bad for us to be witnessing. But at the right time, we hope government also will be thinking about the colleagues in the arts sector who are currently also earning peanuts. I really want to say it is very, very much bad, because just imagine a teacher of literature, who are always known for being smart, who are known for being articulate, who are known for being wise, is earning, let's say 1.2, but that disorganized science teacher really is earning 6.5. Where does this solely keep the learners at? Let's imagine that way, because for us who have been to schools, we know how it means. Let's imagine a science teacher is going to be driving, but the colleague in arts is futshubishing, really very much bad, and I feel government needs to do something about it. And that is where we are going to be seeing a lot of injustice being created. That is between the arts and that's the science sector. And I feel the teachers must come together, even those in sciences must come together and stand in solidarity to also advocate for an improvement in the welfare of their colleagues within the arts sector. That is where I come to the end of the discussions for this morning. And the opinions which we did share here are not for West Nile TV, but necessarily, but also really of every person out there who feels something must be done. And that is where we are coming to an end of also some of that discussion. And when we bounce back, we are going to be checking through on some of those stories, and I will be letting you know of what's happening internationally and summarizing the day with what is happening in the world of sports. In case you're just joining us right now, my name is Faresh Majid. You're most welcome aboard, but we are yet running for a short commercial break. We'll be ushering us into the final half of the show.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Unwrap your holiday cheers with StarTimes this Christmas season. Starting the 15th of November, simply pay your monthly subscription for the next bouquet and automatically enjoy content on the next higher bouquet, plus a chance to win exciting prizes. Your gift box contains variety of local entertainment and fresh shows, exciting cartoon and fun kids entertainment, mega superstars, local and international, a memorable trip to Spain to watch a La Liga match. And that's not all. Lots of prizes to be won, including ZTE Nubia smartphones with free 15 GB Airtel data. StarTimes gift that keeps on giving. Merry Christmas. This message is powered by ZTE Nubia. Better for all.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
And we are going to be continuing with the discussions up to 9 o'clock, and so many issues are already being discussed here and there. And if I can briefly also remind you that we had issues of the salaries of the science teachers, the teachers being increased, leaving out those in the arts sector still in real fears. And I feel there's something that needs to be done. Government must also come out and make pronouncements also on how the arts teachers also should be earning relatively the same amount with the arts also colleagues in there, because if at all we leave this also just like that, then I feel this treatment also is not equal, and many arts teachers are going to be pulling off, and that is where we are going to be seeing the sector of humanities affected. And just imagine if at all we start having lawyers who are not professionals, who are not qualified. Let's now have accountants who are not also qualified, just because those teachers did not teach them very well. That is where we're going to be having issues. And I feel government, much as we need to promote arts, we need to promote sciences, the arts also must be thought of as well as we continue to do that. And that is where we shall be hoping also government will still also think about revising some of these policies to make sure that everybody is also catered for under this new policy that is being also implemented, to make sure that we improve on arts and sciences. So, sorry, I think that's where we feel the government of the Republic of Uganda should give keen interest in terms of making sure that the differences and disparities are not also really far-fetched. Because if at all we see this happening, then many art teachers are going to be pulling off. That would be very, very much bad. And as we continue to move on discussions, and we are still witnessing a lot happening, and in the world of sports, I will be letting you know what happened. There was drama last night, and all that discussion will be coming through also in the last minutes of the show, and I will be also touching something internationally. But all in all, before we get to give you that, there is still a lot that we need to also improve and also talk on, and that is where we shall be seeing a lot of those discussions moving on, and we shall be hoping that also that discussion will be coming through also subsequently in there. But as we get to move on, if I can briefly remind you, yesterday we also received a lot of good news for the sectors, most especially the people of Nebi Catholic Diocese. They did receive, that is a new bishop also in there, and more of the details will be coming through on our subsequent news programs. That is also the Eolaza. Shortly from now, that discussion will be coming through, and Lembangea also as well will be coming through with the details. Nilecast already had it, and that is where we shall be seeing also really you as the viewer of West Nile Television not being left out here, because we don't want to leave you as the viewer out. We want to also make sure that you are catered for, and you must be in the know of everything within the West Nile sub-region in there, and that is where we shall be seeing also happening in there. And recently we are talking about how our lawyer was also together with the surveyor attacked when they had gone to also survey a piece of land belonging to the deceased, that is DHO Paul Dleba Bishop in Arua district. And we are still seeing the same in Luero, where also we did see surveyor's car was set on fire, and very much bad and very much regrettable. It means government needs to come out and also revisit our land ownership system. And a group of unidentified individuals on Monday evening also set ablaze a vehicle owned by a land surveyor in Chibula and some village at Luero district. That is also what we did see is what is believed to have also been orchestrated by one of the parties, currently also in a land dispute. Now, according to Savannah Regional Police Spokesman, that is Mr. Sam Tunemi Zema, our officers also responded to distress call and received and arrived at the scene where a car had already been also already touched in there. We recorded some statements from some witnesses to help police with investigation. Now, a case of malicious damaged property has already been recorded. That's already where we did see with exhibits including sticks and jacket also already recovered from the scene. Now, surveyors are alleged also come to open boundaries on a disputed land. Also, further inquiries also on the incident are ongoing, and that is where we must also allow surveyors come do the work. It goes back to community members. Even before the surveyors leave, you as the neighbors will be required to pen your signatures. If at all you are not also satisfied about, you can still resolve the issues by engaging the area LC1 chairpersons. I feel the LCs are there. If at all you have issues, and this goes back to surveyors to also make sure before they move into some of these areas, they must be accompanied by the local council one chairperson. So solely they identify the boundaries, because why is coming up? Sometimes people feel their lands are being encroached on during the surveys. In the areas where I live currently, this issue happened, and we did see surveyors moving on ground without necessarily also involving the S1 chairperson. At the end of the day, we did see those who brought the surveyors pointing that this is where my land stops. This is the demarcation. But you're not supposed to be doing that alone. You are supposed to be doing this jointly with your neighbors, and that is where I feel I also need to remind the surveyors as they're going to doing their work, they must make sure that each and everyone is involved. And that is where we did see in Luero, on a quite sad note, a vehicle of a surveyor was burnt by unknown persons. And now the areas most affected also by land-related conflicts in the district are Zirobe Town Council, Zirobe, we have Makulubita, and Nyimba sub-counties, which are the most affected in Luero district as part of the land wrangle in there in a rural district where we did see, on a quite sad note, unknown persons already murdering the DHO. Areas of Wajir have these issues. Arivu, Vra also have all these issues. So I think it is high time that government takes the issues of ownership of land. Let the land belong to government, other than also making it also seem also that land belongs to the people, where now we are seeing a lot of issues, and that is where we feel that also is very, very much bad for us also in here. That is where we shall be seeing also more of the discussion coming up on board, and if at all we also are going to be continuing the discussion, that is where we shall be seeing a lot of issues also happening, where in a patch 2 teenage girls have been arrested over cheating boyfriend's mother, and that is also what we did see happening. And these are very much ugly and regrettable scenarios, which I feel people must also be able to sort of talk about, because if we do not talk about this, then that is where we shall be seeing also that becoming very, very much bad. Now remember, in the district, 2 teenage girls have been arrested over cheating boyfriend's mother. Even if I told I am cheating, why would you mother me? Because as a young person, I've not married you. I'm still exploring whether to take this or that. But really, is it enough for you as girls to unite and murder the boyfriend in cold blood? Now you've murdered. What have you gained? Very much bad, very much sad and embarrassing at the same time. I feel the teenagers must not actually be in relationships. Relationships must not be for teenagers. At least those above 20 should be the ones in relationship. I feel something needs to be done. Something of that sort must be done. Much as our laws are saying you are an adult at 18, at many of the times we have seen people abusing that. So I think it is also something we must also interest ourselves in. It goes back to parents. Let's also talk to our children about some of these activities before they land in trouble. That is where we are going to be seeing also really a lot of also those discussions happening. And that is where we are going to be seeing a number of these murder cases going on, which wouldn't also be very, very much good for us in there. And we hope at the right time, people, of course, will be learning from also the experiences of others, other than also really relying on emotions in there. And that is where if you feel a partner is cheating, walk away. Just leave them. Get another person, because even if you kill them, there's nothing you're going to be gaining, and other than also really causing a lot of also really pain for yourselves and for your family, who are going to be also really left with a lot of burden. First of all, in terms of sitting with the families of the persons who are murdered, you're going to be creating permanent enmity for generations, and that is where it is going to be very much bad. But we hope at the right time, people also get to learn. It goes back to community leaders. Let's get and also sensitize the people about the negative vices. And as also we are witnessing 16 days of activism, it is actually prudent that we also really talk about some of these initiatives. Let's also really learn from that. And that is where we would also want to see these vices be kicked out, and we want to also really see this be brought down. And that is where we would also really wish to see changes also within our society, and that is how we shall be seeing a lot of the positive also emerging within our society. And as we get move on in Ajuman district, we are witnessing a high also rise, that is in cholera and mpox cases. That means we must also improve on our hygiene. Now the Ajuman district health department has confirmed that is 3 cases of cholera and 2 cases of Mpox, raising concern about the disease, most especially among the refugees and local communities, and that is where we feel we must therefore also make sure that we talk about Mpox. Remember, Mpox was pronounced also this year, and so far about 2 people in the country have died. It means that it is a disease that kills. We must therefore also make sure that also we talk about this. Remember, Juman district was the first district in Western sub-region where the first case of the disease was registered, but that is also where we feel we must also be able to talk about it. Now, the district surveillance officer, Mr. Paul Olonyi, told the Monitor on Tuesday that the first cholera case was confirmed. That's on November 18th of 2024, with also subsequent testing identifying a 50% positivity rate. That's among suspected cases. It means the disease is still with us. Now, they were creating out, that's the Manzi Reception Center, currently housing, that is also over 1,400 people, despite a capacity of only 750. That means the health facility is witnessing challenges of overcrowding. It goes back to government to make sure that this also initiative is not also already being implemented. Now, since October, Juman district has recorded a 54 cumulative suspected cases of Mpox, with 2 confirmed also already cases of Mpox, and that's where health officials are conducting surveillance and screening efforts also already to manage the outbreaks. Now, Juman district resident district commissioner, that is Mr. Peter Tabandata, emphasized the district's commitment to controlling the spread of the disease, and he said psychological teams, support teams, and health educators have been deployed to raise public awareness about the 2 diseases, that is of cholera and Mpox, which are also with there. And today, if I briefly tell you about how these diseases are caused. 1, cholera can be transmitted through also bad behaviors. If at all you're not maintaining your hygiene, you're putting poo anyhowly, that guy will be able to carry it from where it is to your food, and that is how you will be able to get cholera. And that is how over time we have known cholera about. So I think it is high time to improve on our hygiene. People must be disposed where it must be disposed. That is where it must also be kept. And we must also avoid tendencies of poor hygiene. That is how we shall be able to avoid cholera. Meanwhile, for Mpox, personal hygiene is also very much key. Let's avoid sharing sponge. Let's avoid sharing clothes. Let's avoid coming in contact with persons who have the disease, first of all, through sexual intercourse. Recently, I was able to see the Ministry of Health, through the Minister, that is Jane Ruth Acheng, saying that protection through condoms is not enough to protect yourself from Mpox, because it is the disease of contact. And in most cases around the private parts, we witness the patches are in there. Even if you put on condom, if you come in contact, you are going to be contracting this disease, and that is where we are saying, if you witness such signs, let's avoid tendencies of also really engaging those practices. And that is also how, at the end of the day, we are going to be seeing ourselves safe from Mpox, because Mpox is indeed with us, but it is a disease that can be protected. Let's avoid handshakes, let's avoid hugs, because it's a disease of contact, and that is how we are going to be seeing ourselves very much safe as we are talking about Mpox. The outbreak is still there when the first case of this disease was confirmed in the DRC, and we are not far away from DRC. People of Arua district are very much vulnerable to this, because today, due to the border points and proximity to the neighboring country of DRC, people are freely moving in there, and an exact cause of Mpox has not been also identified up to date, because many people are, unlike Ebola, there is no cause of Mpox. It remains unclear, and the World Health Organization has made provisions for people to also make sure they protect themselves from this disease. And one key or very much important note also for people to undertake is that if you witness signs or symptoms of the disease, make sure you run to the hospital very much quickly, because at the end of the day, the health officials are going to be also really giving you that keen attention there. And that is where, if you witness signs like rashes, patches on the skins, fever, weakness, loss of appetite, you better rush to the nearest health facility to make sure that also really you get the treatment for that disease, and that you get checked, because at the end of the day, you are going to be first of all checking yourself, and also really getting also really the disease also really contracting that. Now that's where we are going to be seeing also really that discussion moving on, and we hope at the right time also really that discussion will be coming through also really now subsequent programs. That is where we're going to pose that discussion of Mpox confirmation in the Juman district, but now looking at also really what is happening elsewhere, and summarize the third day with what's happening in all the sports. But before that, Christian lawyers urge Semakale to tone down language. That's what we are seeing, where the Uganda Christian lawyers fraternity has called upon Uganda Law Society the president, that is Isaac Semakade, to tone down his language when advocating for justice from government officials. Now, in a letter also written dated November 21st, 2004, Uganda Christian lawyers also the Federation of Fraternity, that is President Anne Tino Mugisha Muhairwe, expressed profound dismay and outrage at Semakade's use of vulgar language against the Director of Public Prosecutions, that is Jane France Abodo, and that's also where he made, and where she also called the remarks as disrespectful against the Attorney General and other judicial officials. Now, Muhirwa emphasized that such behavior is unprofessional, unethical, and undermines the integrity as well as the respect that should characterize the legal profession. And she quoted Ephesians, that's chapter 4, verse 29, stating that our words as leaders should be used as also to build and unite the legal fraternity in Uganda, rather than also the cause unnecessary discord and division. And that is what we did see that happening. But the man in the names of Isaac Semakade, who was recently kicked out of that of Uganda Law Society, also came out recently to talk about and respond to the queries upon also really his expulsion and suspension from also really, that is also the party that is also at the helm of the Uganda Law Society, and that is where we also really took it. But really the remarks we have not been taken very well, and recently I was able to see members of parliament from Karamoja asking for him to either step down or risk being sued, and that is exactly what we did see happening in there, and they actually demanded for an apology from him. And today we did see the Council of Uganda Law Society also already suspending him, and that is where he is also going to be avoided from also some of those activities. And that is where we are going to be posting the discussions. Socially, Don Nasa drugged, sexually abused minor, court told, and that's exactly what we are seeing. And that means the famous Kampala city businessman, that is socialite Don Nasa Nduhukire, also known as Don Nasa, introduced a minor to cocaine before sexually abusing her on several occasions. The state also has also indicated that. Now it's evident, and in another evidence presented before Buganda Road Magistrate Court, that yesterday the state indicated that Nduchire and his co-accused, that is Promise Atete, were former lovers who turned into friends. And also that's where we did see it is alleged that the victim also who resides with her mother in Qatar, previously attended that Kaboja International School in Uganda. After completing international also general certificate that's of also education exams in Qatar, she did not do some papers well, and prompting her parents to have taken Uganda, and that is where she also got herself in the drug business. And that is where we feel, as young people, let's also avoid some of those issues of wanting quick money, because much as the money is there, very much bad, it's huge, very much quick, but if you are arrested, my brother, my sister, the jail will also really be able to keep you for very many days. And that is why we must also ensure that we talk about issues of drugs. Most especially those who are selling marijuana, not even the cocaine. In a rural city today, we have a number of young people who are into this business of selling marijuana. That is very much bad, and I feel the government has also given them a lot of privilege without also really allowing also them to be arrested. And that is where we feel it's very much bad. And over time, we have also been able to see a lot of those activities happening, and that is where we feel something must be done, and something must be done also to bring down the vice of drug abuse, which is making many young people run mad today. And that would also be very, very much good also for the government to make sure that those who in this business are arrested, and then those who are growing must also be arrested as well. Because if you look at the mental unit of Arua Regional Referral Hospital, you have most of the people there, the boys most especially, are as a result of drug abuse. That is happening, and I feel something needs to be done, and that is where we shall be seeing also really the government. So instead of investing a lot of money in the health sector, let them simply just also really do the needful in terms of also really making sure that young people do not also really abuse the drugs as much as possible. And that would also really be very, very much good also really for them. And that's where we're going to be leaving the discussion aside. Now looking at summarizing the third day with what's happening in the world of sports, I want to assure you that the 4 Big League will be returning. That's on the 29th of this month. But sometimes Uganda Premier League is also continuing, and that's where we shall be seeing also really the games returning very much soon. And that's where we shall be seeing the teams also returning in action, and the Champions League also really, we are there. We had another number of games, and really, if I can briefly give you some of the results, Arsenal was on winning ways, as Manchester City was also on the other side of drawing, and that's really how the Champions League is. Quite interesting, and that is where we call it the men's night. That means everybody who is there is a champion, and I really feel also that is where we shall be seeing more of the discussions happening. Meanwhile, for the South African Premier League, we shall be seeing them returning back tomorrow, where we shall be seeing a game between Bali Heroes and also really Bright Stars. That's where we shall be seeing that Express will be taking on Bara City. We shall be seeing the game returning back on 29th, where Bull Football Club will be taking on, that is Maroons, and that is so in the world of StarTimes Uganda Premier League. And that is how interesting the leagues are getting in. And for those who love the StarTimes Uganda Premier League, definitely you should be knowing how competitive the league is getting. Meanwhile, for those who also love Champions League, definitely we had games last night, and that is where we did see also many people also very much surprised to see how some of the teams also were able to win. And some of the results we witnessed last night, before I get to move out of here, we did see AC Milan beating Slovan Bratislava by 3-2. Sparta Prague lost in the hands of Atletico Madrid by 6-0. Barcelona was able to beat Brest by 3-0. And we did see Bayer Leverkusen also beating RB Salzburg by 5-0. Bayern Munich was able to pick a 1-0 win over Paris Saint-Germain. Inter Milan was able to also pick another 1-0 win over, that is RB Leipzig. Manchester City had a 3-all goal draw with that's Feyenoord. Sporting CP lost in the hands of Arsenal Football Club by 5-1, and Atlanta was able to wash Young Boys by 6-1. That means Atlanta was able to show Young Boys that they need Young Boys, and that is how the games of last night were, and that is also where I want to come to an end with today's discussions of the KOKOLIRIKO live show. For those games that will be coming tonight, the details will be coming through. That is on the whistle time with Owen Ezaga and Linda Suzy, as the team is expected to be here from 2 to 3 p.m. where they will be giving that comprehensive and detailed analysis and some of the results in the world of sports, right away from a big league up to the world of Champions League, and they will be also giving you what's happening in the world of regional league. Not forgetting that they will be also touching basketball, they will be touching rugby, because for them they talk sports. That team will be here from 2 to 3 p.m. And after here, I'm jumping out, leaving the studios for Draru Masi, who is coming up next with the Eolaza News Bulletin. And if alenia ira yotitalu baratisi Eolaza Neri Suzu is Draru Masi. The Mapara Sani, Mane Amedika, Mibesa of Lerselini.